You've seen the ads, get funded, $100,000, keep 90% of the profit. All sounds too good to be true, right? Because maybe it is. Today, we're going to be diving deep into the truth of prop firm payouts. Because passing evaluations is only step one. The real challenge, however, is getting paid. In fact, industry data shows that only around 7% of all traders who trade prop firms will ever actually end up with a payout. And when they do, these profits are normally only between 2 to 4%. So let's unpack all of this and what you should know before signing up for your next prop firm challenge. Let's start with some good news, and that is that the barrier to entry is actually fairly low. Searches for prop firms have exploded since 2020, and they are up 5,600% in the last 5 years. So what does that mean? That means there's a lot of prop firms out there competing for us traders. But here's the catch. While many prop firms are out there emphasizing the funded account story, very few emphasize what happens once you get funded, because that's actually where things get very tricky. According to FPF tech data, of 300,000 accounts, roughly only 14% ever pass their challenges. And of those, only about 40% ever ended up getting a payout. That relates to about 7% of all those 300,000 ever actually getting to a single payout. Then another prop firm reported that about 1 to 2% of all clients ever actually make money, i.e. get a payout. And even when these payouts do happen, it's only ever for about 2 to 4%. So yes, people are passing, but the size of winning is often far from less than the hype. Now let's talk about the prop firm business model. Most prop firms earn before you do. And what does that mean? It means that you are paying for your challenge, so they are making money before you do. And once you are funded, you become a cost to them if you are profitable. And that creates an inherent tension. I often see a lot of stories in forums such as Reddit. For example, this one. There's a lot of reasons prop firms deny payouts. In some cases, they don't want to pay and will make up a reason. Another user said, I grew my 50K account to 100,000, followed the rules, 4 payout requests all denied with no clarification. And you see this time and time again. A lot of payout requests denied for some random reasons or silly excuses. So are larger payouts more likely to be denied? Well, the data isn't that clear on this. There's no definitive public table on this kind of data, but we do have strong signals. Like example, anecdotes from traders saying that once you request more than a certain amount, you're more likely to be denied. And then seeing clear trends that average payouts from prop firms are fairly small, implying that not many large payouts get fully executed. And this means one of two things. Either people are not requesting big payouts, which I find highly unlikely, or the people that are requesting high payouts are being denied. And I personally think that is the more likely option. So what should we be looking out for and how can we protect ourselves? Here's a list of things you should be checking before joining a prop firm. Number one is payout transparency. See if you can find any verifiable data on payouts. For example, things like Discord, anywhere that there is a community showing their payouts, a place that you can trust is legit. And then another place you can check is a website called Payout Junction. Now this shows the total payouts from all the top prop firms. So you can actually see how much these prop firms are paying out. The next one is rule clarity. Are the rules published? Are they clear? And are they stable? Is there any record for these prop firms changing rules on a regular basis? The next thing I want to talk about is withdrawal process. Are the withdrawals frequent, fast, and straightforward? Or is there a lot of signs of reviews and investigation going on? Now, understand there is a lot of prop firms that do investigations and reviews, but if you start noticing that a higher number of people are being investigated and reviewed, then that might be a bit of a red flag that something is going on. Number 4 is realistic expectations. If the average payout for an account is about 2 to 4%, then expecting a 5, 10, 15, or even 20% payout is very, very unrealistic. The next thing I want to talk about is your profit-taking strategy. I would consider looking at taking smaller profits. If you are running an account that has a bi-weekly payout, then I would say look for a 1 to 2% every 2 weeks. And when you hit your target, stop trading, take that payout, and just reset and go again. Because this way, you're going to be trading smaller amounts, you're going to be trading less often, your risk will stay low, and your emotions will stay intact. And also, you will remain underneath the radar of these companies. Because if you start requesting big payouts, payouts, there's a good chance they might find reason not to pay you. So staying under the radar is always the suggested move. And finally, but definitely not last, is choosing a reputable prop firm. Make sure you do your research and choose the prop firms that are more reputable, because there's a higher chance of you getting your payout. Look, the dream of becoming a funded trader can be real, but you have to be very wary of the hidden layer, and that is the payout process. A lot of people just think about passing the challenge and then think once I'm funded, it's all go. But passing the challenge is only the first step. You really want to make your main goal getting to your first payout, and make sure it's small enough that you can hit it, and you will get it, and it's big enough to cover your expenses and give you a little bit of extra. Looking for big payouts is going to end up costing you in the long run. Look, passing these challenges these days seems to be a lot easier than they were in the past, because more people seem to be doing it. So now they are clamping down on the payouts, right? Because you got to remember how this business model works. The profitable traders cost them money, right? So they're going to do everything they can to make sure you don't get paid. And how do you avoid this? By staying under the radar. Just look for smaller payouts, and trust me, you will survive a much longer time in the prop firm industry. My final takeaway from all of this is know your prop firm's rules. Expect the scrutiny, protect yourself, and don't let over 1,500 members in our community get funded. And not only did they get funded, they are actually taking out payouts and taking out regular withdrawals from these prop firms, because we have a system that works, and a system that can be maintained with these prop firms.